this is the program where I get to be as talkative as I'd like. Thank you. Here we go. We're gonna get some life into the show here. Get a backdrop going. We'll do. It's not Christmas time. We'll do. There we go.
There we are.
We'll do that one. I got to get it better though, because it's like the shittiest AI art of like this cowboy. What I'd actually like to do is I'd like to get some real photos taken of some various places and do that. Like I would like to get a photo taken of like inside the fave, kind of where you stand for comedy, and that be our backdrop. Like little Easter eggs, I guess you could say. I would like to start, doing little stuff like that for it. It'd be interesting.
Well, that'd be fun.
So I know you have an announcement to make. So what I want to do is I want to flip a coin here. Do you take the floor with your announcement and get that over with, or do we get Tom out of the way?
I figured my announcement was really quick. It wasn't going to be anything too crazy.
All right. Well, you go ahead and you take the floor, pal.
So next week I'm getting a new computer.
Okay.
Richard is selling his MacBook. So it'll be a much nice needed upgrade.
Well, good. Yeah.
I can retire the rustic piece of shit I'm using now.
And then good, and in that way you'll really be able to have all your bells and whistles and everything. I hope so. Is he going to set it up in one of the rooms that you have in the home that the lights are working?
No, I'm going to set it up.
You're gonna. Oh, okay.
I know how to set it up.
But I'm saying, but are you gonna put it in one of the rooms, or are you just gonna kind of have it out in your living room for now until you can get the light fixtures going?
I'm gonna scope out one of the rooms.
Yeah. I hope you can find an electrician that won't charge you too much.
Yeah, I'm not good enough.
If it wasn't for the fact that I'm pretty sure he's dead, I'd say go find Big Shooter. But I imagine he's dead. So
yeah, I don't want Big Shooter to work on my electric.
Is he still around, Big Shooter?
I haven't seen him in forever.
I don't think he leaves his house, and not seeing someone in Dawes County is pretty fucking hard. Anyway, so that is good. Jimmy will have a new computer, and hopefully, this will mean that we will be getting the long-awaited Transformers show, where Jimmy is actually going to he's going to show off his Transformers, but he's also going to have OnlyFans models dress up as Decepticons and dance behind him as he's showing off his collection.
Yeah.
So tune in for that. Anyway, enough fucking around here. Let's go ahead and take care of this. So, our boy, Baltimore's, Hartford County's own, Maryland's own. Both of us, look, we're both Marylanders. That is where I am from. That is where Tom has lived his whole life. He hasn't left like I did. But it's okay though, because when you've been all around the world like Tom Myers has, when you're a successful, when you're this fucking mega talent that Tom Myers is, you get to see Spain and Tokyo and Scotland and the moon. Because, ladies and gentlemen, I grace you with the multi-talented, the incomparable, the comedian, Tom Myers. So here is this fucking idiot. And as you can see, Jimmy, I don't know if you can see it, we're going to make this full screen.
I see how he's censored.
Comes in with a nice little affirming good morning.
But I want to ask you something. If you're going to censor fuck, do you use a $ and an @ symbol so we can't tell, like a FASK around live stream?
No, I usually would just put an at sign over like one of the letters or something.
Isn't it like the pound sign or star? Like
I
we
think
like,
it's
like it's
star.
like you want to call your show. You say that. Oh, this is the weird thing. Tom Myers, and he explains this, by the way. I don't think I'll be able to play the clip if I can find it. He explains that he's calling this the Friday around because he believes that if he just says "Welcome to the Friday fuck around," I'm Tom Myers, that will get him a bump from the algorithm. So for a show that's not a show, he sure is putting his eggs in all one fucking basket here.
He's crazy to think that he's in the algorithm at all either. He's crazy.
I mean, dude, the fucking guy still hasn't paid for StreamYard. It's like, Tom.
Crazy.
It's like, Tom, can you... I don't know. But anyway, we'll go ahead here and let the genius take over.
Whether it's in the chat or on my YouTube videos, doesn't really say much else. I don't know. He could be a troll. If he is a troll, those are the kind I like. Let's just be honest about that.
So the context that you're missing, Jimmy, I didn't play it. Somebody just said good morning in the chat, and this is how paranoid this man is.
That's crazy to hear good morning and instantly go on a diatribe. If you're one of those trolls, I really like these kinds of trolls.
Well, you know, Jimmy, not to compare everybody to Stuttering John and Opie, but holy shit, Tom Myers might actually be like, if you Frankenstein those two retards, you'd probably get Tom Myers.
Ooh, why'd you put that image in my head? I hate you for that.
Mint Diggity is also in here this morning. We can see him. Very, very generous donor. Probably the best promoter that this live stream that I have.
Mint Diggity has donated one time. When he got 165 on this.
So this is the only promoter, pretty much, that I have at this here. And some shout outs from yesterday. We've got.
Okay, this is insufferable. I'm going to go ahead and just jump to his guest. And as a matter of fact, okay, this GD Fenderman, or GD Federson,
yes,
he's exceptionally unfunny. But what you're going to find out here, if we do play, you know, the entirety of what he's saying, you can tell this is an old guy here. He got into comedy when he was 57 years old. He explains that he got into it just as a hobby, you know, just as something to do. And the only person who really found him funny and gave him support was Tom. And you're going to get into finding out, by the way, that this guy, okay, these two here, we might as well just make this the Tom and GD show. Because wait till you hear this chemistry.
Okay.
Good stuff.
Well, while you're doing that, I'm just going to try to pull it up on my phone.
Yeah, that'll probably be the easiest way. I had a guest on here one time who tried to go ahead and just sort of read the chats and that completely derailed me, which is it's kind of easy to do. So.
Oh, I honestly, I usually don't care about the chats, but if you refer to something, I'd kind of like to see it.
So, I want to point something out, Jimmy, because they're talking about nothing that's fucking useful at all. Do you see? So his name is GD Fenderson.
Yes.
Do you see that his website is sogdfunny.com?
I did see that. I was also going to comment on the fact that Tom is just like, whenever someone else reads the chats, it derails my show. But that's not hard to do. Tom, it's not a show, Tom, remember?
He derails his own show. He doesn't start in saying anything.
Yeah, he just goes like, hello, everybody.
No biggie. I'm just anal like that. And a few other ways, too, but...
We don't say words like that on here. Kids are watching. But
Okay.
Oh, fuck off. Are you insane?
So again, so not only these guys just aren't funny, and there's not really like any vibe that's going on here. But I want to skip ahead a little bit because Tom gets it because we're only like less than 5 minutes into this interview, and look what Tom contributes.
Oh, you're a comedian. He goes, yeah. I said, well, okay. And then I said, but do you have?
But he's telling us, okay, so he's telling some story about being an open micer, and Tom's not listening at all.
Of this, you know, I had this. It was a gift for Father's Day. Best comedian ever. And he goes, no, I don't have that mug. I said, okay, then shut the fuck up.
If Jimmy had a mug that said, I get all the pussy, does it mean that does it mean you just walk into a bar and say, hey, honey, look at my mug?
I do you one better. That's like if someone handed me a mug that says, best mixed martial artist ever, and I say, yeah, I could beat Joe Rogan too. Your kid did that because they're trying to be nice to you. It's the same thing as best dad mug.
Oh, I know.
Except the best dad mug is genuinely wholesome. This is just your kids going like, eh.
And this guy is completely delusional, okay? Because he's going to explain here at some point why he uses a green screen. And the green screen he uses is just utter nonsense. It's like, there's a lot going on back here. It's like he found a marquee from a high school, like on Google Images, and then he put his information. We can't see the email behind his head. We can't see what that says. That QR code means nothing. I don't know what he's trying to accomplish. But more or less, he gets into the fact that he has a green screen, because if he didn't have a green screen, then he would have to explain himself. And he didn't want to have to do that.
All start out doing comedy. And I think what you were saying to your wife, is this funny? Is this funny? Is this funny?
Yeah. Okay.
At this point. The kids are watching. But no. GD Fenderson, everybody. So GD Fenderson, like me, is Maryland based. But I think you originally started in Florida, I think. Yeah,
I started in Florida. I was living in Venice, Florida at the time, and my wife.
When these guys, when these guys say, "Oh, I started in this state, now I'm in Maryland," that doesn't sound like you're having quite the career trajectory there, does it, Jim?
Not really.
You're doing clubs in Venice, Florida, Venice Beach. No, just Venice, Florida, wherever the fuck that is.
It was on the same side of Florida that I lived on.
Oh, okay. So a real hub for stand-up. So he starts in Florida. There's a lot of Florida comics, Chad
of course.
Zumock, Stuttering John. Good handful of Florida comics. So he starts in Florida, and then he is so hilarious that he promotes himself to the Baltimore comedy scene.
She got tired of me banging on the bathroom door every once in a while saying, do you think this is funny? You think this is funny? You think this is funny?
So the wife is locking herself in the bathroom as he's coming up with zingers.
And she just signed me up for a comedy boot camp just to shut me the fuck up. I'm sorry. Can I say that this early in the morning?
No, yeah, man. I just censor that word.
Tom's laugh is going to be our first drop. I gotta get that later.
The title, because I'm trying to help the algorithm and work it up. I'm basically just getting my watch hours up, which is all I'm doing. Like this is not a professional. This is not going to be a professional interview. So, which is why I'm just having people I really, really know on.
Can you pause it, quick?
Okay.
At this point.
Yeah.
So we've interviewed we interviewed Richard, and I wouldn't say that was a professional interview, but it was structured. We had topics, we had questions to ask, and there was a general feel to it.
But see, there's a lot of things that Tom. This is what really frustrates me about Tom. Okay, if we say, "Oh, this is a show," no one's watching it. But in my opinion, it is a show.
It is.
We do put effort in. We have segments. We go to things. We talk about stuff. Tom, he says he's not doing a show, but now he's getting guests. Now he's coming up for names for shows. He's telling his guests they can't be sexual. They can't be dirty. He's another guy that's trying to get back on the radio. And what I find so laughable about this is that not only is Tom not a comedian, he's not a broadcaster. He can't just say, your good friend here, GD, is on your show, and you are explaining to him, and once again, you're beating it over the audience's head that this isn't a show, that your whole intention is to come on for about an hour and a half at a clip, get a bunch of money, and then keep on doing a not show. Eventually, your not show is going to become a show. And this is the same thing that Opie does when he says, "Oh, come on, this ain't a show. This is a live stream. It's not a show." It's because if he did one, he would have to be compared to everybody else. So Tom Myers saying this isn't a show. Tom, it's a show, okay? Me and Jimmy aren't afraid to do a show and realize that if a fucking tree fell in a forest, someone would hear it before they heard this goddamn show, okay? And we know that, but we're on here trying things. You have almost 200 viewers a day, motherfucker. It's about time you start calling this a show. God, it just annoys the fuck out of me.
Well, the problem for him is that it is a show because it has the structure of a show. He has the same opening segment.
Right.
You know, he'll either talk about random bullshit or he'll say, he'll interview people, or on the occasion he'll be like, so and so banned me from their chat because I was a big old troll. Harumph.
Just have your show, Tom. Just have your show. You've been saying for years that if you did a show, it would be just as good as Cumtown. You've been saying that for years. No one, look, I don't think politics is your end game, buddy, okay? I know you host Tom Myers versus the rest of the world or whatever. Nobody cares. You have a bunch of boomer guests saying a bunch of unfunny boomer things. Just be a podcast. Have some balls, Tom. I'm begging you. Okay, I don't even give a fuck if you come on our show now or not. We're still going to give you the gift card. We're still going to give you the slippers. All the shit we've been saying we're going to give to you, we will get to you. You will have a gift basket on your front porch or a P.O. box of your choosing.
We got to throw in the best comedian mug.
Yes, we are going to spend, Tom, we're going to spend our hard-earned money on you, motherfucker. We are going to give you an Easter basket of goodies. You have a month to respond. We will give you an Easter basket of the comedian mug. We will give you some blank CDs. I actually have some CDs that I've never burned. You're going to put out a new album, right, Tom? I'll give you CDs that you can burn. I will give you the CD cases. I think I have some of those laying around.
I'll kick you some money to buy StreamYard so you can be be a real time.
Instead of an Applebee's gift card, we're going to give you a gift card for StreamYard. Okay, we're going to give you a $100 StreamYard gift card that'll get you at least 2 months. Get you going. I don't get it. Just call it the fucking Tom Myers show. Just fucking own it. Or admit the fact that the reason you have to fucking mention Mitt Diggity and the goddamn Port Film Exchange fucking guy is because those are your fans. Numero uno and numero dos. That is it. There is nobody else that's going to be hopping on this fucking Tom train. And that I can promise you, buddy. So just call it the fucking Tom Myers Show. We've spent about 15 minutes on fucking Tom, so we're going to look at one more piece of this. Okay. And then we will move on. This is unwatchable.
Oh, look at this. You're in the chat. This is awesome. There you go. You like to go ahead and come on in here and
certified forensic humorist. Have you ever heard of a more convenient way to tell the general public that you're not a comedian?
This guy literally embodies dad jokes.
Oh, it's awful.
Also, a nice little shout out, Dan from Nice Podcast Stupid. That's the name of his show. I think it's an awesome name for one. So, but yeah, so basically, as I think when we all start out doing comedy, and I think what you were saying to your wife, is this funny? Is this funny? Is this funny?
Yeah.
It's like
I don't ask my wife if anything is funny. I just say things and she laughs.
Yeah, but I feel like your wife is. I feel like your wife's going to be a lot more honest compared to any of these guys here.
Yeah, but I feel like I don't know this J.D. Fenderson guy, but I'm not approaching my wife and asking her if something's funny. She's not exactly my audience.
Well, that and like, I don't think she would appreciate you. While she's in the bathroom, you knocking on the... Basically, that reminded me of the episode of Family Guy where Stewie's just like, Mom, Mommy.
Right.
Mommy. Yeah.
She's in there taking a shit and smoking a cigarette, and he wants to tell her a clever knock-knock joke he just came up with.
Knowing her, she probably didn't have to shit. She just needed a barricade herself.
Right.
As soon as you become a new...
She's like, just get the fuck out of my house. Just go to this comedy camp. Just go. Get the fuck out of my face. Oh, what a loving wife.
As soon as you start comedy.
Oh, and also, Tom is going to say something here. Tom always pretends that he's on the Joe Rogan show. Listen to how Tom crafts. Listen to how Tom crafts talking about being a comedian. This is fucking brilliant. And then we'll move on. Okay. Next week, I want to dig more into this G.D. Federson guy because he is abysmal. He does this gimmick
that word
where he's
on
like
the title
where
because
he's like an atheist priest,
and
he does like this whole it's called like blessings from the blasphemous. We will be looking at that show next week.
Right.
Help the algorithm and work it up. I'm basically just getting my watch hours up, which is
You
all
said
I'm doing.
this.
Like this is not a professional. This is not going to be a professional interview. So, which is why I'm just having people I really know on. At this point.
Well, the not so professional interview, the offer is still on the table. As a matter of fact, we will give you a professional interview. We want to know your whole bio, Tom. The whole bio. We'll be on here 3 hours with you. We'll give you the Rogan treatment.
Honestly, we might get some of his viewers to come over, so I would do a 3-hour show for the amount of viewers.
Yeah, of course. I'd have fun with Tom. Bring one of your lame, weird friends, too. We'll have a 4-man booth.
Oh, boy.
Us two and 2 creeps.
Oh, look at this. You're in the chat.
So we'll have 4
this
creeps.
is awesome. There you go. You like to go ahead and come on in here.
Go fuck yourself.
I can get anybody the finger if they want the finger. That's all. If they're only doing this to get the finger, I'm glad to oblige them, and I won't charge them anything for it.
No, of course. But it has been so long since I've known you, and I'm not trying to
Oh, this is fucking hilarious. Just listen to how this is the last thing we'll look at with Tom because he is a fucking rabbit hole. Just again, how he describes himself. This is where I was trying to get at.
I feel like I feel like I'm breaking down enough, physically, enough as it is. So I don't want to be reminded of how long I've known people or how long I've been doing something. So I'm trying to remember like when like we first performed together or how we first how we first met.
Oh, I can tell you. I can tell you. I can at least tell you where. I can't tell you the exact when. But it was when Harrisburg Comedy Zone.
Okay.
And when you took the stage, before you took the stage, they introduced you, and you had all these accolades they were piling on, and one of the ones that says you wrote for Politipod, and I think there's something else that they also, but it said you wrote for Politipod, and I didn't know what Politipod was.
Right.
You weren't missing much. It was a piece of shit.
For Politipod, and that for some reason that stuck in my mind. It was like, that must be important. Because they took the time to mention it. You know, I was new though. I was new to comedy. Okay, yeah, I was old. I was like 57 years old, but I was still new to comedy.
Okay, so I think that's enough there. Tom, that laugh said a lot there with Tom. Because you know how this stuff works, Jimmy. When the MC is getting information together, they say, okay, what can I say about you? Where are you from? What do you do? And you give them a little bit of a rundown. And you tell the MC, when you do open mic, you tell them how you want to be introduced. So there is no fucking way that Tom Myers did not go to this sign-up show and tell the MC to say that he is a writer for Politipod.
You know, I'm lost for words.
There's something like almost by.
I understand that he's just. I really am lost for words. That was shit. I don't know how else to put that. I'm not gonna act like we're professionals, but we ran a fucking interview better than that.
I mean, it goes on and on and on, and they have a little conversation. They start talking about each other, but they keep trying to make jokes, and there's no chemistry, and they're stepping on top of each other's feet, and this guy keeps trying to be dirty, and Tom Myers is in radio mode, so he's trying to overly deputize what is said and what's not said.
He heard the word anal. He heard the word anal. It wasn't used in a sexual sense. Tom was like, "Oh, geez, Billy Bob."
No, it was. He goes, "Oh, I'm anal about those things, and also some other ways too." It's like,
yeah.
They stink. There's no point of analyzing this, Jimmy. They just fucking stink.
I know they stink. You asked me my opinion. I didn't know what to say.
Oh, and so I won't play the I've seen the Kumia clip. I won't play the full clip just because I don't know where his copyrights stand these days.
He doesn't copyright.
Oh, okay, good. But we have all at this point, those that are in the internet circle, I'm sure we have heard Bill Burr's comments. I'm sure that we have all seen this like 360 that he is partaking in. And Jimmy, the way that Kumia put it was probably the best way that it could have been said. You grow up and you remember an aura that a certain comedian had. Or that is, or the cool factor that a band had once upon a time, and you always kind of see them in that light, regardless if they have changed or not. And unfortunately, with Bill Burr, this is personally how I think about it. Okay. He's in stand-up. He's a legend in stand-up. He turned 50. And keep in mind, he had already been in like Breaking Bad and some miscellaneous shows, and he's done some Netflix movies now and whatever. But when he was doing The Mandalorian, once he crossed that threshold, now you're in Star Wars. Do you think at any time they're at these dinner parties, him and his wife, and the rich Beverly Hills wives are getting around Nia, and they're saying, "Look, is your husband really going to be just a stage act forever? You know, do you like the friends that he has, or are you okay with the material that he's going on with?" And all of these yuppies sort of kind of got Nia into believing this shit. And then once Nia started guilting Bill Burr into, well, you're white privileged and you're this and that, and as a man you shouldn't be making comments on this and that, and before you know it, Burr has alienated all of his friends. He goes on these shows and he talks out of his ass all of this liberal nonsense, and he desperately tries to continue being funny, but it really saddens me that it feels like Bill Burr has almost lost his ability to be Bill Burr.
That, and I also have to point out that, and Anthony mentions this too, and I'm glad that he points this out. There's a difference between stand-up comedians or comics. Like Dave Chappelle, for example, is more progressive, but he's not afraid to shit on progressives, and it is clever when he does it.
Right.
But then you got Bill Burr, who decides, I'll go after white liberal women, which is such an easy target. It's so easy.
Right, white liberal women, because the reason that he's doing that, really,
it's so he can say to people, I make jokes about liberals too, which is just...
Well, yeah, but it's also, I think it goes deeper than that, truly, Jim. Who do black people get the most fodder out of? White women, right?
Yes.
Who do Republican men get the most laughs out of? Women, okay? And then what will the liberal, moderate men make the argument that Bill Burr, well, he's not that, he's not that, that much of a lefty because he's making fun of women and blah, blah, blah. So it's the easiest thing to go at. You can play at all sides. It's not just him saying, oh, well, I make fun of everybody. No, you really don't. You play to a market that is fruitful. And what is fruitful for old Billy Boy at this stage in the game, unfortunately...
There's something like almost
Unfortunately, the stage in the game now for Billy Boy is to just go on these shows and be a complete ass. And I have a clip here. Here, I'm going to go ahead and pull this up.
Political parties.
I'm going to go ahead and pull this up.
Okay.
I'm going to let you do some commentary on this, and I will be right back.
All right.
Have incurred your wrath over the many years that you've been doing this. Both sides, right?
I think so.
Yeah. So
I don't know where you're going with
So
this.
you're
but
bipolitical.
and so
I'm not into politicians at all. They don't make any money. They're set up to be bribed, and in the end, they're all worth like $50 to $100 million. And everybody thinks one side is better than the other. I don't know. It's a weird time, but I just feel like someone needs to bring the boiling water down to a simmer, and everybody on both sides. Like if you watch CNN, Fox, you go online, or you listen to politicians.
We
it's all,
get that.
and then you walk out on the
mainstream
street, and
media
someone's
is what
like,
it
"Hey, how
used
you
to
doing?"
be,
You're like,
bud.
"Good." So I don't think they're living in like a reality.
But is there any
this
particular
fucking
anybody
section right here.
getting your ire up these days more than usual?
Nerds.
Oh, yeah.
The nerds that own the
tech
politician,
nerds.
all these tech nerds that want to build robots because they don't know how to talk to hot women,
Yeah.
they're gonna take over the world. They're gonna take over. They are literally gonna replace us. We're like beta right now, and they're coming out with like the VCR.
The nerds,
And I think Elon has got the rockets going because they
nerds,
realize there's other
man.
Earths out there.
Yeah.
And they're gonna trash this one, and because they
They
don't
are
have any
trashing it.
concern for
They
it, and
are.
they're gonna move on to the next Earth. And everybody's gonna be standing down here with your blue and red ties, going, "Wait a minute, I was on your side," and they're just gonna leave.
Well, you were talking about death in your set. Do they not realize that they're going to die, these people? They don't realize that eventually
Well, I always
everybody
wondered
dies.
that about all religions, where they always talk
dies.
about a wrathful God and, will send you to hell. And it's like, none of you guys are operating like you fear this, the way you run your religion. So I don't understand any of that. I'm just trying to be like chill. Somebody holds the door. Hey, thank you. I appreciate it. But
So you're trying not to go to hell?
no, I don't believe in that. I don't think we are God's mistakes. Like, why is he mad at us?
He was trying to bring the temperature down before that part.
Yeah, no, I don't understand. Like, God makes sociopaths.
Okay. Thank God that got paused.
I don't know if you could. I'm back. So
I'm gonna make a few quick comments. So the section that kind of makes me laugh is the nerds are building robots because they don't know how to interact with hot women or touch hot women. I don't care how bad this sounds or how pretentious this sounds. I have fucked enough attractive women to tell you that
it's just
that
not
the nerds that are building the robots, or in my case, collecting the robots, have no issues with fucking attractive women.
That's what I'm saying. Like, literally, Jim has shelves of toys in his house, and women, women, especially after these shows, they come up to him. They think he's funny. I mean, look at all the women that Elon Musk has. All these children he has suitored. On a much more, moral standpoint of things, Mark Zuckerberg has been married to his wife for a long time, and she's a pretty woman. So yeah. I don't understand what Bill Burr's talking about here. I don't get it. Most of Silicon Valley, I would have to imagine, are absolutely married guys with kids. There's no way they're not.
Well, here's what I'm going to point out. Bill seems to be modern with his politics, but retro in some of his other viewpoints at the same time. It's like he thinks that nerds nowadays are still like nerds in the 80s. And you also have to understand, not everything in the movies are real. Not every nerdy person in the movie is some shy, withdrawn, like introverted person. Like, it's just not.
It's like, look, once this is just a true thing. Once women started playing video games, it changed the entire deal. Not every nerd is, going to photosynthesize if a woman, were to touch his penis or whatever. It's just not the case. You know what this kind of shit is? And I want to keep playing it. I want to play the last 30 seconds of this and then make my point.
Pedophiles and all of that, and then we all have to deal with it, and then it creates. No, I don't understand.
All these fucking, yippee dippies. What's even funnier is that only some of them are laughing. The rest of them are outright refusing to laugh at these softballs that are being tossed their way.
Like, God makes sociopaths, pedophiles, and all of that, and then we all have to deal with it, and then it creates crazy people who do other bad things, and then somehow it's our fault. You have to work it out.
But the answer is that the devil creates those.
Yeah,
God doesn't.
I'm just telling you.
Oh God! And now we have all these philosophers up here. We have all these fucking people. This is what Bill's doing. This is what he's doing. Okay, I can't stand listening to any of these broads. But have you ever been in a room with very liberal people?
Yes.
And you're trying to break the ice, so you do what Bill is doing, where like you're lying out of your ass, but you're trying to be a little humorous about it. You're trying to get the subject to change. This is what he's doing, is it not?
Yeah, and to give a quick little story, I will keep the person's name anonymous, but I went to a friend's wedding. I was one of the groomsmen. There we go.
Recently?
This was about, I want to say 4 years ago, maybe.
Oh, okay. I know who this is.
So we get there, and the night before the wedding, they decided to do the bachelor and bachelorette party all in one. So basically, it was a standard house party. So me and the buddy of mine that drove to this wedding get there, and we're sitting in the living room, and at some point, one of the guests starts saying, I don't know about you guys, but I think Ben Shapiro is a Nazi. And I'm just like, oh, no.
Because that's what you bring up at a wedding party.
Yeah, the day before a wedding, and they're just... Finally, it gets to me in this circle of people just shitting on Ben, and I just say, no comment. And someone was just like, what do you mean no comment? I was like, we're at a wedding setting, and you want to...
Maybe it's because Ben is a Jew, and you're calling him a Nazi, like a insensitive moron.
And I just... That's why if it wasn't for the fact this was a good friend of mine and this was in a non-wedding setting, you know how I am. I would have ripped this apart. But
of course. And again, what's so funny is that you have these women, and I understand what Bill Burr is doing to an extent. I get what he's up to here. This has been his jive for 20 years. This whole bit about, if God is real, this is what he's doing. This has been how many years has Bill been working on this shtick?
It's not even just Bill. I know people who make this argument all the time.
No, but I mean, like as far as in terms of Bill Burr's comedy, back when he wasn't married and didn't have any kids, that was his continual thing. And then it was, if God's real, then why is he doing X, Y, and Z? This is really like recycled, run-of-the-mill stuff. It's not impressive at all, and unfortunately, I think you're going to be seeing more of this kind of Bill, because I've had my suspicions for a while now.
Oh, me too. Ever since he got Anthony uninvited and banned from the Patrice benefit, I knew things were going to start getting shitty.
Yeah, 100%. And what I was going to say is, the Tyler Brian Cohens and all of these whiny, imbecilic, liberal show hosts, these pundits, they don't pack the same punch that a Shapiro does, that a Greg Gutfeld does, or Michael Knowles, or any of these people. So they're going to begin finding ways to crank out, more of these fucking shows. And look, this is what Bill has left in his career now. This is really what it comes down to. Unless if he's going to be a big fucking movie star, this is what he has. Sitting in a room full of 5 crows and just saying anything to get them to agree with you.
Yeah. I'm also going to point out one other thing that he said in this appearance on The View. And I want you to get a kick out of this because of how stupid it is. So Bill says that politicians and other people are talking about how the world's going to shit and how the world's crazy. But then he'll step outside of his house and he'll talk to someone. They'll say, "Hey, how are you?" He's acting like that. This guy's from Boston.
This guy.
Are you insane?
Bill, you live in Los Angeles.
You live in a gated community in Los Angeles. You live in this higher-end echelon. Of course you're not having problems.
And also, again, this is also like an old... I think it was a Bill Hicks bit where he goes, war, famine, rape, murder. I look out my window and the birds are chirping, the skies are abreast,
Yep.
It's an old, it's so fucking hacky and so second rate. And it's below Bill Burr. But here's what he says after that.
The devil made me do it.
But
She's an agnostic.
But God created the devil. That's his responsibility.
Well, that's a good point.
But God created the devil.
I guess Barbara Streisand is agnostic, which, anything else to make her even more peachy. These fucking broads.
It's his responsibility.
Well, that's a good
Do you see these fucking mugs they have? It's like a collage all over the fucking mug.
Yeah.
How self-important can you be?
Oh, it's
devil.
The View.
That's his responsibility.
Well, that's a good point.
Why does he just get rid of the devil?
And you know what else? God created...
So did I notice this? Okay, I cannot stand this banter. I do not give an ounce of a shit. Is Burr in the whoopee spot this particular episode?
Yeah.
How fitting for them to sub out with one another.
Did
How-
you, Bill?
Oh, positively.
Check it out on one
Oh, for fuck, I can't even handle it.
Okay, what I was gonna say was how progressive of the View to swamp out a black woman for a white man. How progressive.
Well, he's married to a black woman, so maybe he has.
Oh, man, okay, he's got street cred. Never mind.
You know, I just have to say, this is what you do. You make Bill Burr one of the best comedians of all time. And you make him into this mawkish, just limp-wristed shrill who will go along with anything, who will say anything, who will lower his standards of humor and material to impress upon a couple of old goats who could really fucking care less who you are and what you do. They probably couldn't name one album of yours, Bill. Do you think Barbra Streisand listened to Emotionally Unavailable when she was in high school? No!
Fuck no.
Like, you know, but she doesn't know these fucking shit. She knows nothing about you. But this is what you do.
I also have to point this out too, that Bill's the type of guy that before he got married, before he decided to become more progressive, certain jokes that he made were acceptable before that, but afterwards, suddenly they're not acceptable anymore because
he's been with Mia for he's been with that woman for like 15 years.
I know.
So honestly, what I think it is, I don't think it's marriage. Do I think the missus has a lot to do with this? Abso-fucking-lutely. But I really do believe that the longer you're in LA and the more you get television and you're at the Grammys and you start hobnobbing with all of these TDS mental cases, you truly do begin to lose your edge. You begin to lose sight of why things are funny. You begin to lose sight of what made you funny. The Bill Burr of old would have been no more conservative or no more liberal than he is right now. But he would go on Conan O'Brien and make Conan physically uncomfortable. He would make Jimmy Kimmel physically uncomfortable. He would have went on The View. Do you remember when Norm Macdonald went on The View?
Yep. I remember.
like those are the type of confrontations that Bill Burr was known for. And it was all funny and antagonistic. And now you have a guy who is not going to antagonize these women. He's not going to challenge them. He's just going to fucking hobnob and sip his coffee.
His soy latte.
And I hope it makes him billions, because that must be what it's worth.
I mean, he's. I don't even think he cares about the money anymore. He made a lot of money off of his comedy career, and I bet you he got paid a fuck ton of money for it. He was in one episode of The Mandalorian, provided it was a good episode.
But that one episode, for maybe a handful of scenes. Look, the Bill Burr that performed at Fenway Park. Okay, I take it that's still the Bill Burr people want to see. But you know what? When Bill Burr is traveling to Abu Dhabi and Milan, Italy, and London, and all these places this summer, are they paying their hard-earned money to see the new fucking maimed Bill Burr? Or are they looking to see the guy that they remember?
They want the guy that they remembered.
And to be honest, look, Bill Burr is not going to lose any money. He's going, okay, if one party says he's no longer funny, he now has the libs to buy all the tickets, made available. So, unfortunately, I really don't see how this affects him in any real way. And it's a shame.
Yeah.
But
I just, it really sucks because it makes me wonder what Patrice O'Neill would say if he was alive now, what Bill's doing to himself,
And it's not just Bill, it's a lot of these guys.
No, but I say Bill in particular because, don't get me wrong, like, I knew that Bill was left-leaning. There are times where him and Anthony clashed on Opie and Anthony, where Anthony, for as much as I love Anthony Cumia, would sometimes steer conversations into the black neighborhoods, and Bill would call it out. But, now that you're just, like, and I want to point out, I don't blame the entirety of the marriage either. I put a little bit of it there, but it's like you said, living in LA, you get sucked into the politics there. It's kind of like it's like Fresh and Fit living out in Miami. You live out in a place like Miami for so long that warps your mind, warps your perception, and you think the world around you is exactly like that. But when you leave that bubble, that's not the case.
No, not remotely. And what I think a lot of people need to fully understand is that, like, look what Robert De Niro is doing to himself. Look what look how imbecilic and childish he has been going on and on about Trump. These celebrities, I don't know if they realize, what exactly they do to themselves when they go on with this shit. But I don't know what it is, man. I really don't know what I think. It's like when a professional wrestler becomes an actor. And you know this for a fact. There are a lot of Marvel fans, a lot of comic book fans that did not know that Dave Bautista was a professional wrestler for 15 years. Before he played Drax. They have no idea. And to be very honest with you, in a lot of the interviews, Batista did his due diligence in defending professional wrestling and not letting it be seen as this lowbrow, stepping stone sort of deal, because the interviewers were certainly treating it that way. Stand-up comedy is no different.
Yeah.
Stand-up comedy is lowbrow. Stand-up comedy is where drunk men get on stage and bitch about their life. That's what liberals see as stand-up comedy. So what they really want is they want these over-contrived, hyper-produced Kevin Hart types saying, all right, here you go, here's your comedian. And Kevin Hart is another guy that's got increasingly less funny over the years and more political as we go. And that's not to say, by the way, that if you become a right-wing Trumpian cheerleader, that you're suddenly hilarious. I think Rob Schneider is very talented, but he has gotten so far clung on to this Trump train, man, that every joke is about liberals and about, gender-conforming bathrooms, and he's another guy that's getting on my fucking nerves. If you go either way and you try to be funny, chances are it's not going to be fucking funny. The reason that Bill Maher is funny is he hates everybody. He's a miserable old prick. That's why he's funny.
I would use Dave Chappelle as a better example. Bill Maher has moments where I just wish he would just shut the fuck up.
He's another one with the.
Whereas Dave Chappelle is probably the better example of someone who doesn't give a fuck who you are. He's gonna make the jokes, and if you want to cry about it, go ahead.
Right. But I think what we're going to start doing is I think we are going to take a little break from clips. And this is what I want to do. I want to see, okay, I want to test us, because I say that, Tom comes on and doesn't actually do a show and blah, 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 blah. I want to see, okay, we go an hour, we riff, we have things to discuss. We pull no clips. And I guarantee you that we will have exceptionally less dead air than when Tom Myers tries to to be a professional show when he says he's not running a professional show. And I bet you we will have considerably less dead air.
Well, yeah. We treat this as a show. We don't pretend that it's anything more than what it is. We don't try to play the watch time. We're not plugging our Venmos and shit.
For who? We're gonna plug our Venmos for the couple of schmeckles that we'll scrape up at the end of the night. And yeah, but you're right. We just do our thing, and we'll see what happens. But we have fun with it.
Yeah, for us, this is just a hobby. Tom is trying to treat his deal. The reality for Tom is that he's not going to admit this, but that's his livelihood, which is so strange to say that your livelihood is not a show. It's not really a thing. It's just you going on there. It's a show, Tom. It's pretty much. I know he has a full-time job that I hear, but something tells me he wants this to kick off more than that actual job that he has.
Well, I've been skeptical that Tom is still living and working at 7-Eleven. I mean, sorry, is still not living and working. He's still living with his parents, and he works at 7-Eleven. If he lived at the fucking 7-Eleven, that'd be hilarious. But if you look and see what Tom is actually up to, okay, you go ahead and you take a look, and before we sign off for the night, I just wanna check something here.
Yep.
Tom claims he's he's got bills to pay. He's a working man. He is on almost for these live streams. He has been on almost every single day. He's been on almost every single fucking day for the last several weeks. And yeah, he's trying different things. I gotta admit it. He's reviewing Trump, and he's talking about Ray DeVito and Aaron Emholt, and he's trying all these different things to try to get noticed. But the problem is, and I'm just gonna end this on this, he's trying too hard. And that's really all I gotta say about that.
I have to agree. And I've admitted this. There was a point in time where I tried running. There was a Pokemon channel many years ago. And rather than treating it as a hobby and having fun with it, I was concerned about the numbers. How many views am I getting? How much money is it making me? And eventually you become resentful with that stuff. The thing that people understand, and I have a good friend of mine who doesn't understand this, when you make everything about money, like every venture you do is nickeled and dimed and it has to be about money, you're going to resent it. Like, why I don't care if like some of my hobbies don't bring me back any money. It doesn't make me any profit, and I'm fine with that. I don't try to make money off of every little thing that I do. I think sometimes, it doesn't always have to be about business, and I think Tom tries too hard to not try hard, but to try hard at the same time.
Oh, 1,000%. He's lazy. This is a man who he will say he's vegging out. What does that mean?
He's vegging out. He doesn't pay for the full length of StreamYards. I know that we have the same backgrounds roughly for the most part. We've mixed it up, and I'm looking to alter my background depending on when I get the computer.
Because with what you're telling me, if the true announcement, the computer really is part of it, and the true announcement is that, you were going to have a set, and we're not just going to have to see your face through the black abyss that surrounds you, then, I mean, shit. As a matter of fact, I think we should arrange this. I don't know when we can do it. Not this weekend, because I'm working all weekend.
Yeah.
And I know that you work every day. You don't have weekdays off like I do. But at some time, okay, we're gonna have to really entice Tom to just fucking come on in. Holy shit! As you know, what we'll do next show. Maybe we'll both do the Baltimore backdrops like Tom.
Yeah, we could do that.
My God.
Well,
But I think one thing that I will say before we go. I almost do not mind at all. Now, yes, okay, working a real job and going in and working for people and being around employees that aren't so savory, and there are things about the simple matter of working a job that I totally understand why it would be a lot more profitable for you to just do what Tom is doing. To immediately plug the Venmo, immediately look for your watch hours and make your money and not have to put any effort into anything. But I would almost rather know that I can go to a company and I can put in an 8-hour workday and I can supply for myself. And if people give a shit about what we're doing, then maybe one day they will. But if they have no interest, and I'm not saying this thing will fizzle out yet, but the point is that if we literally just do this for the sake of keeping in touch and having a fun little thing, you and I can both go to work and make money. Guys like Boogie, who are increasingly losing money, they're hemorrhaging money. Where is Boogie? Where is Steve going to get a job? Where is he going to find a job making any kind of money?
I don't think he could, because if an employer decides to Google his name and sees all the bullshit that comes with that, I feel like Tom would be easier to employ. The downfall of Tom is like you said, he's lazy. But I feel like if he wanted to get like an actual job, he could. He just doesn't want to. The difference between him and Boogie is that Boogie, in addition to being lazy, is he just fucked his life. So if an employer decides to Google him or do a background check or whatever it may be, all of that stuff, all that crazy stuff is going to come up there. And then there's a chance that depending on where he works, if people find out where he works, they will call up his employer. People will do that. They'll spam his employer until they fire him. Same thing for any sponsor he gets.
Right, and that's the biggest issue too, is that people are brutal, and look, I say all the time, we don't want to see people fucked with in real life.
No, but I'm just saying that like Tom is known, but he's unknown at the same time.
Oh, right, 1,000%.
I think the biggest channel that covers him is Who Are These Podcasts. That's the biggest channel I know that covers Tom, but they barely touched upon him. They're more concerned with fucking with Scut, Joe, and Opie because they know that when you call it for what it is, Tom isn't going to bring you a whole lot of like traffic because he barely gets traffic. Talking about Stuttering John and Opie will bring you a lot more traffic because they have bigger audiences, they're more reputable, and they're more likely to respond and take the bait. Especially Opie, he'll take the bait quicker than Tom. Tom, for the very least, will sometimes play it out, but.
Right. Oh yeah, of course. And that's the other big issue with Tom as well, is we've said this before, Tom Myers truly does believe that he is this legend in comedy. I don't think Tom Myers thinks he's bad. I don't think Tom Myers realizes the amplitude of which he bombs. Because if Tom Myers wanted to be famous, and this is the thing that Stavros said for years, and maybe now at Tom's old age, he's in his 40s, maybe even his 50s. I don't know how old Tom is.
Well, if he started comedy at roughly 30 and he's been doing it for 20 years, then he'd be like at least 50.
I don't know when Tom started doing comedy. I think
Oh.
that's the biggest problem. Is that we don't. I don't really know. He doesn't have a Wikipedia page. I mean, there's not much about this fucking guy.
Does he have a
You
year
type-
that you're born?
You type Tom Myers into Google, and it brings up the NFL player from from the fucking 60s.
I'll put it like this. I shit on Steve Hofstetter a lot, but at least if you Google Steve Hofstetter, you know what? You got Google running right now. Google Steve Hofstetter. I bet you more of a bio pops up for him than Tom.
Oh, of course, Steve Hofstetter. I mean, for one, I do find Steve Hofstetter very funny. I don't agree with his politics necessarily, but I do find him to be very funny. He's very clever. He's very quick. He has a following. He has legitimately been all over the world. He tours constantly. I can't rag on Hofstetter too much. I can disagree with you with your viewpoint, but I can still admit that you are very funny and very accomplished.
And I was gonna get to that. I personally don't think Hofstetter's funny. I personally think he's a hack and all of this other shit. But in the very least, whether I like him or not, he is an established comic. He's been around. I believe he owned a comedy club at some point. What has Tom done? What has Tom done? Tom, for 20 years, has also traveled the world.
I wouldn't go that far. Maybe
Well,
he's
he
taken
claims.
maybe he's worked on a couple of Carnival cruises or something. But I'm gonna read you his bio. Okay, I will read you the bio. We will respond to said bio, and then I think we might move on with our lives for the evening.
Okay.
But here we go. I'm not gonna read this. This is a 4-paragraph bio. So if you need me to just fucking shut up and you've heard enough of it because it gets redundant, let me know. But I'm going to read it from start to finish otherwise. Okay. Tom Myers is a comedian who tackles any subject, whether the topic is current events, social and political issues, or a topic other comedians would not even approach. Tom is not afraid to make you laugh about it, using his straight-talking, no-holds-barred manner. A lifelong resident of the metropolitan area of Baltimore, Maryland. Who the fuck is writing this bio? All these run-on sentences, this fucking mouthful, every other word. A lifelong resident of the metropolitan area of Baltimore, Maryland. Why the fuck? Do we need to know that you don't live in Baltimore? Is that an important part?
I think they said too many words for him to say that he lives on the outskirts of Baltimore.
A lifelong resident of the metropolitan area of Baltimore, Maryland, comma. That's not a whole sentence, Jim. Holy fuck. Are you ready for this whole sentence?
I am.
A lifelong resident of the metropolitan area of Baltimore, Maryland, comma, Tom parlays his observations and insights into his surroundings and current events. We've already established you talk about current events, but whatever. Fuck, this is just. I'm gonna do this one more time. A lifelong resident of the metropolitan area of Baltimore, Maryland, comma, Tom parlays his observations and insights into his surroundings and current events as well as his experiences growing up in Maryland into an act that has taken him more than 30 states plus DC and Canada, period. That whole fucking thing is one sentence. So in the first half of this shit submarine of a sentence, holy fuck. Dude, run this through WordTune. Fucking run this through ChatGPT. It'll spit you out something better. A lifelong resident of the metropolitan area of Baltimore, Maryland. That's way too fucking long, but that should be a period. but he breaks that thought up with a comma. And then in the same goddamn sentence, he once again reminds the reader that he is from Maryland. I think we get the fucking point, Tom. You just said it 2 words ago, but that's not the only run-on. Let me keep going here, Jimmy. This is fucking...
Well, this is amazing.
Abominable. Tom Meyer currently writes, hosts, and produces the eponymous comedy news current events podcast. Boy, does he loves that term, current events. The eponymous comedy podcast, Tom Myers versus the rest of the world, comma. The sentence isn't over.
Oh no.
His fucking sentences are as long as his goddamn jokes. Where he holy fuck, dude, where he hosts. We have just in the same goddamn sentence, we just established that you're a host. What in the actual fuck?
He does a show versus Tom Myers versus the world. You got to tell me who's the host too? No shit.
Okay, but this is the sentence. Tom currently writes, hosts, and produces a fucking comedy podcast, Tom Myers versus the rest of the world, where he hosts discussions with comedians and blah 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 and fucking political figures such as a science writer, Tara Hale, former Baltimore Democratic chair and candidate for lieutenant governor, Sarah Turnbull. This is all one sentence, Jim. I gotta show you here. I gotta fucking... You have to pull this up and look for yourself. You just please.
Just
follow
send me...
along with me. I just did. Follow along with me, buddy. I'm not bullshitting you. Look how long this one paragraph... Find me a period in the second paragraph down. Find me a single period in that fucking thing.
In the second paragraph?
Yes! Starting out with Tom currently writes. Read that bitch and find me a period.
Okay. Tom currently writes, host, and produce the eponymous comedy news current events podcast, Tom Myers versus period for rest of the world, where the host discussions with comedians, artists, and political figures such as science writer Tara Haley, former Maryland Democrat Party chair and candidate for Lieutenant Governor Susan Turnbull, and political activist Amy Siskine, period.
Holy fuck. So you give me a word salad. You name 3 people that no one's ever fucking heard of and could give a shit less about. You mentioned that the show is the eponymous. The eponymous. You know what eponymous means? You know what the word eponymous means, Jim?
Yes.
So he's establishing with the audience that he... Is he actually retarded? Like, are we allowed to ask, is he actually retarded?
Well, I already ruled out that he was, but if you want to ask...
So he is establishing with the audience that he named a podcast after himself, therefore making it eponymous. And it's also a news and current events podcast that you don't have to elaborate on or mention or remind, because in the first slop... The first fucking series of word vomit that you called a paragraph, you acknowledged 3 different fucking ways to Sunday that you are an observational and political comedian.
Can I read?
Why in the fuck are you reminding us over and over and over again? And then he's mentioning these festivals he's been in. I want to read you these comedy festivals, Jimmy.
Oh, okay.
I want to read you these accolades. Okay, maybe one day you will reach the top of Tom Myers.
Maybe
He's
if
actually
I'm
got some
lucky.
pretty interesting credits. In fact, he hasn't done shit. In the summer of 2021, Tom was the host of the rampantly comedy network's Green Mike, where he oversaw some of the most diverse lineups in Zoom comedy. So that's a fun way of saying that you just he gave that to himself. That is an accolade he gave to himself.
Oh my
For the
god.
network's virtual Halo Week in 2021, he hosted his own edgy material themed show, Dark of Night. So
Oh,
once
jeez.
again, you hopped onto your laptop, did a bunch of unfunny shit that no one watched, and you gave yourself an accolade. To date, Tom has released 4 albums: Words of Mass Destruction, comma, Pitchforks, Torches, and Other Random Thoughts, comma, A Shot from the Quip, comma, and Make America Innate Again. And is currently writing material and preparing for an upcoming tour, an upcoming album called Lack of Apology. You know what, Tom? I think you're onto something. Because when these fucking people that are Venmoing you don't get a return on their investment, you're going to have a fucking lack of an apology. Holy fucking shit. And above, by the way, it says Tom has made several appearances in comedy festivals spanning 3 decades. 3 decades! It's been longer than I thought.
So he's been in comedy for. So he's been in comedy for 20 years, but he's been going to comedy festivals and shit like that.
No,
for 30
Jim,
years.
it's longer than I thought.
Oh.
This motherfucker has been doing stand-up for 30 years.
Oh.
So he was like a college student doing this bullshit act.
So now it makes sense. I think if he's been doing comedy since his 20s, like we would suggest roughly, then he's got to be at least 50.
We're right. He's 50 years old. Yeah, we were right. This fucking guy is in his 50s.
Yeah.
Oh, how sad is this? And what's so crazy is, by the way, dude, he doesn't give the years of any of these because I can guarantee you it was way back in the day.
Well, wait, I have to point out something then. This bio says that he's been doing comedy for at least 30 years, but he says in his podcast and shit like that he's been doing it for 20. So we kind of have.
Well, it's 3 decades. So let's just be nice and say 25 years. Let's say 22 years.
Yeah, but that's
okay?
still not 20, though.
Yeah, but over the span of 3 decades, if he's been doing comedy for like 21 years, 22 years, okay, that's 3 decades.
Yeah, but if you've been doing comedy for at least 20 years, but you would say at least 20 decades? I mean 2 decades? It's strange to say 3 decades, you know what I mean?
Well, you know why I think it is, Jimmy? He probably debuted in like the early 2000s. So he gets to say in the 2000s, the 2010s, and the 2020s, he's been involved in shit. But dude, I'm not done. I haven't told you the festivals that this motherfucker is claiming in his bio. It just gets better. Okay? Tom has made several appearances at comedy festivals spanning 3 decades, including the Baltimore Comedy Fest okay, which I guess is okay, cool. The LOL at Artscape in Baltimore, the World Series of Comedy in Las Vegas and other cities, the Cape May Comedy Festival in Cape May, Massachusetts, the Charm City Comedy Fest in Baltimore, the Greater Northern Virginia Comedy and Film Festival in 2019, Gilda Radner's Laugh Fest in Grand Rapids, Michigan, doesn't give a year, and the virtual Las Vegas 420 Cannabis Comedy Festival, as well as the virtual some fucking international jokes day thing. Boy, oh boy, he's really fucking up there with some all timers.
Yeah, they need to indict him, and they need to put him in the Hall of Fame for comedy. Jesus Christ.
I have to ask an honest
Yes.
Could you ever imagine being this delusional?
Could I ever imagine reaching the
What this is telling me, the fucking LOL at the Baltimore Artscape. So again, Tom, you're booking yourself into shit and then giving yourself an accolade. Where are you looking at, Jim? Who's in the house with you?
Oh, I just had to crack my neck.
Oh, okay. He's got to he's got to make sure the blood circulates in that eye socket every once in a while. He has to fucking make sure it's still moving around in there.
But no, it's just
Dude, that'd be a good bit for you, Jim. I keep telling that'd be a good bit for you. That when you're it'd be a good stand-up bit. When you're banging a chick, you have one eye on her and one eye on the door.
just in case the husband comes home. No, but it's really bad when you have to give yourself credentials, not actually
Right.
like earn credentials.
When you say 5 different ways to Sunday, I grew up in Baltimore, I'm a Baltimore comedian, and here are the 5 Baltimore comedy festivals I've been in. Did I mention I've been doing this shit for 30 fucking years? Whew. Please, Tom. We've been talking about you now for at least a fucking hour. Just come on the show. We're giving you the bandwidth. Oh, the gift that never stops giving. Fucking Tom.
Yeah, you owe us your presence, you talentless fuck.
Well, Jimmy, if Tom Myers stops at the... Tom's going on tour.
Yes.
So that means... See, this is why I wish... Give me a couple of months, and I think I will be within... driving distance, even if driving distance does mean about 4 or 5 hours. In Nebraska, in Midwestern terms, I'll be near. Wink, wink. And I'm not going to say where or how, but I'll be near.
Okay.
Because it turned, But anyway, I've had enough of it. I've been fucking 4.5 years back on the East Coast. I've frankly had enough. I only needed 2 nights. I only needed a night in Wyoming. And 2 nights in Shattern to be like, fuck, this is what silence is. But anyway, my point being is, buddy, we need to get Tom booked. We need to get Tom. Tom is going on tour. Okay? Tom is going on tour. I don't know how much he's charging, but you have to be his opening act. I don't give a fuck if it has to be in Scotts Bluff, if it has to be somewhere. We have to book him. You have to book him in the Panhandle. The only strings we're going to have to pull is book him in the Panhandle, and I think we could bring Tom Myers to Shattern. Even if there's no gig, even if nobody's going to pay him, if we can get this fucking dope to show up to an unforetold location where he believes he's going to knock the socks off of adoring fans... That's all we need. Because I want to know, could you imagine, because you play these rooms, could you imagine a busy Saturday night, maybe like right before like Heritage Days or one of these things, and you got Tom up there?
It would be fucking great. And I would know, because like you said, I performed those rooms. I would know.
Holy shit. Yes, because Tom is going to come. Well, I tell you right now, if Tom shows up and he does his shtick about how there's nothing to do in small towns, and he starts making jokes about incest, which doesn't take place in Nebraska, and, does all of this other presumptuous, hacky, liberal material, first of all, okay, you're going to go into Shattern and accuse them all of being bigots and MAGA people, which they are not. But secondly, you're also going to come into small town lifers and tell them how their small town operates. He's not going to be very appealing. He's not going to be very relatable. He is going to more or less be like fucking eczema in a porno film. Okay, it's not going to work out for Tom at all. But
Exactly.
I want him in the flesh. I want Tom Myers. You know. Oh.
I'll have to confront him after his gig. Like, I'll
You know,
have
what
to.
if we are? Yeah. What if we are able to convince him that this is like this is like a college night, like it's going to be like a college audience? Because we could do that. We could fucking do that.
It is college town, so
right.
wouldn't be off base.
Right, and it's absolutely in season of the kids being in town. We gotta fucking.
We've got potential to make this
I'm
work.
stealing your bit. I have to steal one of your. I'm gonna steal your bit and go. Because we are in the fucking business of Mr. Myers. Oh, this is gonna be great.
Oh, that's
What a
gonna be
fucking dope.
fun. All right.
You know, I bet you. You know what? It's all right. Look, we will end it here.
Yes.
I have off on Tuesday, so
Okay.
I'm gonna hop into the chat and poke at the bear, and we will see if we can at least get Tom to respond to us. All he needs to do, I just want to see if he will say the name of our show on his stream, and get us to acknowledge.
If he does, you got to clip it.
Oh, absolutely. But for now, Jimmy, you have a good night, and this is just going to get better.
All right. Good night.